except the possibility that with all the vivid lightning taking place, we're likely going to be getting some power outages, hopefully just brief power outages from this storm. So once again, we're kind of in this velocity mode here, kind of indicating the broad rotation that is going on, which is likely just sitting right on top of Lamont right now. Okay, that's the rotation that is taking place from this storm. And this is the only tornado-warned storm that we have going on here. North of that, there's a severe thunderstorm warning out for not only parts of extreme parts of Jackson County, but also going into Joe Daviess County, and that does include Galena and just outside of Scales Mound as well. Within this storm, we're very likely getting a good rush of wind out of this. See if I can actually bisect it from the warning itself. And yeah, here we go. So this is until about, let's see, no, that's for the other warned storm. A little challenging, of course, when you're dealing with so many warnings, different warnings within the box itself. So I'm trying to actually get the storm that is actually impacting, here it is, until 8:15 for parts of Jackson, but also Joe Daviess County, which includes Galena. And radar indicated that we're getting some pretty strong wind coming from just north of that circulation that we just mentioned, just east now of Zwingle. And potential there, maybe some of that hail, as we just showed you too, maybe about quarter size. That is just enough, once again, to produce some damage, okay? So these are the latest warnings that we see. Most of them, as you can see, are kind of focused right along Highway 20 itself. I'll go back to the reflectivity mode, and of course, can't see much what's going on just because of all this vivid lightning that is taking place. But that particular storm that we just showed you on the camera, live camera from Bellevue, that storm is getting closer and closer and closer. And guys, if you want to go back to that camera again back in Bellevue, that will be great. I'm not sure how long that camera is going to be up, but we just keep this up. This is once again out of Bellevue, Iowa. It is just south and east of that tornado-warned storm that we are just talking about, just north and west of Lamont, okay? This is the one that is kind of showing some kind of that broad rotation, but you can see the vivid lightning that is coming out of this and the darkening skies just outside of town as well. And very likely, we don't have any audio going on, but I put any money that we are actually dealing with some sirens that are going off in the town of Bellevue as well. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but a lot of lightning going on with that particular storm that is taking place. We actually have a new, and I believe a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. Let's see if I can actually get this to a point where it will pop up here. Maybe that's it right there. It's got to be it right there. This other thunderstorm warning covers parts of Joe Daviess and Stevenson County until 9 p.m. Once again, quarter-size hail, winds maybe upwards of 60 miles an hour. That's the threshold for the potential for some damage. So that severe thunderstorm warning is out until 9 p.m., and that covers Loran and Stockton until that time period. Let me go ahead and put that reflectivity mode on, and you can see the storms are now just north and west of the Stockton area. What we like to do here, of course, is we like to go ahead and track these storms for you. Moving on to the south and east, let me see if I can get some information on this one. I issued the warning. It doesn't say exactly. Let's see. The actual speed of the storm itself, I'm assuming it's probably going about maybe 20 miles an hour or so from this particular storm. And there is a potential there that these winds could eventually reach maybe over 70 miles an hour or so, okay? So that is going to be the big concern with that. Let me see if I can put this in that tracker mode here. I was right in the middle of that when that warning came out. There we go. And you can see that it will impact Stockton in just 5 minutes or so, Loran in about 20 minutes, and even around Lake Carroll, right there in the very bottom there, in about 25 minutes or so. If it holds this position, moving on to the southeast, and I'm assuming it's moving on to the southeast around about 20 miles an hour or so. Let me just try and get some information here. from our friends of the National Weather Service here. Give me a second here, folks. Let's see. Okay, so I want to go back to the storms that we have that are eventually going to make its way into parts of Cedar, Clinton, Jackson, Jones, and west of that, even around Lynn County. This is going to be a situation where these thunderstorms that we see right there, okay, that is just now west of Clinton and, let's see here, around Clinton and Jackson County, and then parts of Cedar County you can see there. Those storms that we see, which are currently around Cedar Rapids, Fairview, Monticello right there, those are the storms we'll have to keep a very close watch on because they're talking about these winds potentially being destructive. And when we talk about that, we may be talking about winds estimating around maybe 90 miles an hour. There was a report from a train spotter out in Lynn County around Hithawa, where we had a reported thunderstorm wind gust around 90 miles an hour. Around 90 miles an hour. So if you're watching us in Clinton County, you're watching us in Cedar County, be on the lookout for this storm that we see off to the south and east. You can see a tremendous amount of lightning. This is no surprise with all this crazy lightning that is going on within this broken line because of the tremendous amount of heat energy that has been built up around here for the past couple of days. There's actually a boundary located to our north and west that's actually interacting with this tremendous amount of heat energy, and that's why we're seeing all this lightning taking place. And very likely, too, given the blossoming of these storms, the very tops of these storms are reaching some very cold levels. Why do I bring this up? Because this is always usually an indication of some very strong winds coming down from the storm. That's why the main threat are destructive winds, but also the potential too of maybe some hail as well. Put on the hail potential. Hail potential, doesn't talk about size, it's talk about where the likely areas of hail is taking place from this cluster of storms. And you can see we're noticing that just south of Dubuque, just west of the Galena, okay, making its way off to the southeast. So we know we've got some possibly even some quarter-size hail there, as it was radar indicated for our friends of the National Weather Service. And then a little farther west as you go, more likely hail taking place within those storms as well. If we want to check out the hail size, well, we go to this mode right here, which is actually giving us a few colors here. And anytime you see a bright yellow, like we're seeing from those storms just north of Lamont, that's very likely indicating some estimating that we got quarter-size hail falling from these storms. Now, do they actually reach quarter size once they hit the ground? Well, once again, we don't have eyes out there, but this gives us a real good example of what potentially the size of these hailstones are when they're falling from the cloud itself toward the ground. So that's what we're kind of seeing here with that line of storms producing some of that hail. Once again, I've made my way back to the velocity mode, and a little ringing going on, of course, is indicating a likely new severe thunderstorm warning, which we just, I think, here we go. Let me see if I can get this out extended more, which, no surprise, they're all concerned about this one line that we see here. But here's the storm that, the new warning that has popped up now. And let's see if it does. Let's see. There's so many warnings out here. This is the one. Okay. So this is coming from the National Weather Service. Once again, they're the ones that issue the severe thunderstorm warnings, okay, or any type of warning, tornado, severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings, you name it, all coming from the National Weather Service. And they're issuing this one out until 9/15. That does affect Iowa City, North Liberty, and going into Tipton over in Cedar County, has the potential of producing some wind speeds as high as 70 miles an hour. Once again, no surprise with that line. And that could cause some considerable damage as far as rooftops are concerned, tree limbs, you name it, and more importantly, any tree limbs that hit those power lines, it can cause some power outages as well. So that is until 9/15. And we're very likely going to see these warnings even extend more to the south and east as we go through the next few hours or so. So if anyone watching us from the immediate Quad Cities, we're likely going to see that line approach the area. In fact, I can actually go ahead and let me see if I can get, where's my trusty ruler here? I'm putting the ruler out because it kind of gives me an estimate as to when these storms could, if it holds its speed and all, okay, when these storms can eventually impact the immediate Quad Cities. And we could be talking about a situation sometime before our newscast begins at 10 o'clock, okay? Once again, if these storms hold together with its present speed, we're likely going to be seeing warnings pop up around here sometime before 10 o'clock, okay? And very likely these warnings will be probably issued, if so, well in advance before the storm gets here. That's good because we want to make sure that you are planning and preparing and knowing that you are going to be going to your safe place, that you're, any outdoor events that you may be participating in right now, you may want to consider about bringing those in. Because it's safe to say those storms that we see just to the north and west of the Quad Cities are very likely going to be holding its own, okay? If you guys want, I'm getting a note message from our friends in the booth. If you guys want to go to the Bellevue shot again, and you can see how, oh my goodness, look how dark those skies are, and a very nice description of that shelf cloud that we just mentioned, okay? Behind that shelf cloud is where you got some wind taking place. And just go and keep that shot going up there, guys, because I'm going to go and try to get to the velocity mode here and see what we got going on. Let me see if they plan on canceling the tornado warning. Oh, maybe because I may have taken it off just so I can get the other warnings up. Now the tornado warning is up. It looks like they have canceled the. Looks like they have canceled the tornado warning. Okay, let me make sure I got here. And appears to be. So by the looks of it, in the time of the clock, we got 8:15 right now. That was until that warning was only going to last until around 8:15. Okay, so now we are pretty much looking at a severe thunderstorm warning for Bellevue now, Dubuque, Galena, West Galena until 9 p.m. Okay, that's another 45 more minutes. And you can see, once again, if you're just tuning in, this is just outside of Bellevue, Iowa. Just briefly, let's actually go to the radar first. I want to show the velocity mode here, okay, and then we'll go back to that shot in Bellevue. Okay, once again, so there's Bellevue right there, and the strong winds are actually just outside of town. Okay, just outside of town is where we're seeing those strong winds actually taking place, right around here. Okay, those are the strong winds that we're seeing. That's very likely the shelf cloud that we're noticing on that camera shot. Now you can go back to that Bellevue shot again, and you can see that shelf cloud is just outside of town, darkening skies, vivid lightning going on. And if you're watching this in Bellevue, you're going to very likely get some brief power outage take place as well. I would not be surprised with all this crazy lightning that we're witnessing here from this particular storm. So numerous severe thunderstorm warnings going on with this cluster of activity that is taking place just north of the Quad Cities. A lot of lightning there. Guys, nice job there as far as bringing up that shot of Bellevue, Iowa. My goodness, they're getting a lightning show over there. And we'll very likely be seeing that lightning show kind of expand a bit more off to the south and east. So we're going to do this, folks. We are going to, let me see here. Before I actually go back to network, just for a brief minute, I'm getting some information that the approximate time of arrival of the surging winds and such for Maquoketa and Clinton and Mechanicsville, as well as around Anamosa. So I want to try and zoom in here just a little bit. We're talking about this line of storms that we see here. We've had reports of winds gusting, potentially gusting close to 100 miles an hour about 4,700 feet over Lynn County, which is just outside of our viewing area. But we did get a report from a spotter of a potential wind gust that actually reached around 90 miles an hour around Hithawa. So some of that wind aloft actually translates down to the surface, okay, and could eventually, with the friction of the surface, kind of eases up a little bit, but still a very intense wind gust of 90 miles an hour estimated from those storms just north and west of the Quad Cities is something to bear watching as we go into the next couple of hours or so, because we're kind of estimating here for anyone that's watching south and east of this line, especially if you're watching us around the immediate Quad Cities, of this line that could be impacting the immediate Quad Cities, possibly right around our newscast at 10 o'clock, if it continues with its same speed. Now, we'll very likely, maybe in the next hour or so, likely see maybe this thunderstorm warning, the thunderstorm warnings that we see to our northwest, extend eastward into likely Clinton, Scott, maybe even Muscatine and Rock Island, going in maybe in about an hour or so, just given the latest indications of the speed of that line that we see here, okay? So that is what we'll keep an eye on as we go into the next couple of hours or so. All right, folks, so we're going to eventually go back to our network right here, but any additional warnings that we see, especially if it's the type of warning that is producing some destructive winds, we are going to go back to come back out of network and let you know all the information that is taking place. If you want to continue to monitor this, all you have to do too is go to your handy Storm Track 8 weather app. Extremely handy as far as monitoring the storms, tracking it. You can be interactive with it as well as far as when it comes to determining, how this is going to be impacting you. And of course, you get the latest warnings as well for your hometown. We'll go back to network, and any more developments, we'll let you know right here on News 8.
Sunday morning, the Trump indictment. What's next? Hunter Biden caught in a firestorm of legal distress after his rejected plea deal. Impeachment talk on Capitol Hill, and Matthew McConaughey with Jonathan Karl. Sunday morning on ABC's This Week.
I got a question.
Who here thinks they're a good liar?